Good day, grade 10. Mrs. Vallejos, your science teacher. In this video, I will give you a run-through of Quarter 1, week number 3 of the module in Science 10. Let us begin. The title of module number 3 is Plate Tectonics, Distribution of Volcanoes and Mountain Ranges. It begins with an introduction. So it is read there in your module. The Philippines is one of the famous tourist destinations around the world. This is because our country offers a variety of natural wonders, both land and water. An example of this is the presence of volcanoes in our country. Mount Mayon is admired for its symmetry and classic cone. Taal volcano is also exceptionally unique because it is a complex volcano in the middle of Taal Lake. It is often called an island within a lake. Volcanoes can be found mostly along plate boundaries. This is also the site where most earthquakes occur. A volcano is described as a land mass, an opening in the Earth's surface that can allow gases, magma, and ashes to escape. The presence of a volcano in an area both has advantages and disadvantages. So the module begins with you answering a 10-item pre-test. That it has two parts. Part 1 is identification. There are words there inside the box, and those words are the answers to the sentences that follow. So you just simply have to decide what is the word being described in the sentence. That's 5 items. Part 2, or letter B of the pretest, is true or false. There are 5 sentences that you need to read, and you need to decide whether that sentence is correct or true, or that sentence is incorrect or false. Then, the set of activities. Activity number 1 is entitled Find Me. It is simply understanding and reading of a text. So there, you will read a paragraph or paragraphs. So I will read it for you in this video. The Philippines is one of the countries situated in the Circum-Pacific Belt, or the Pacific Ring of Fire. This is the reason why our country is a host of many geologic features like the presence of volcanoes. There are about 24 active volcanoes in our country, and the most active are Mayon, that is found in Albay, Taal, found in Batangas, Canlaon, found in our neighboring island, Negros Island, and Bulusan in Sorsogon. On January 12, 2020, Taal erupted. So this is just this year. And that eruption has caused severe damage to the agricultural and aquatic resources. About 3 billion pesos was lost due to that natural event. Almost 50,000 families affected, and the results were devastating. The presence of volcanoes have both advantages and disadvantages. That is why millions of people are still living in areas where volcanoes are found. Some of its advantages are, first, volcanic materials ultimately break down and weather to form some of the most fertile soil on Earth. Another, the internal heat associated with young volcanic systems can be harnessed to produce geothermal energy. Also, volcanoes produce spectacular scenery like the Mount Taal and the Mount Mayon. This spectacular scenery attracts tourists, and as a result of this, it gives livelihood to the local people in that community. Volcanoes also produce stones and some materials, precious stones, and some materials that are now processed to produce beauty products. On the other hand, there are disadvantages to volcanoes. Why? It is very dangerous. Violent reactions could lead to the tremendous hazards like suffocation, flood, mudslide, power outages, drinking water contamination, and air travel disruption, among others. People then should be very vigilant enough, especially those living near a volcano. After these paragraphs, you are to answer 5 guide questions. Next activity, oh no, there is still a discussion part. The discussion is able to give you an insight or an answer to the 5 guide questions. Our country, the Philippines, is situated in the boundaries of 2 tectonic plates. The first is the Philippine plate and the second is the Eurasian plate. There are many volcanoes in the Philippines and some of them are active. Example, Taal in Batangas, Mount Mayon in Albay, Mount Canlaon in Negros Occidental, and Mount Bulusan in Sorsogon. Taal volcano erupted January of this year, 43 years after its previous eruption in the year 1977. This eruption has caused massive destruction to the different sectors in the locality. Some of the hazards brought about by a volcanic eruption include suffocation, flood, mudslide, power interruption, potable water contamination, and air travel disruption. On the other hand, volcanoes give a lot of benefits to humans. It can be a source of geothermal energy, it produces precious stones and other products. It can also be a tourist attraction because of its beautiful scenery. Materials from volcanoes can also provide nutrients to the surrounding soil, and some are processed to produce beauty products. Next, activity number 2, entitled Mark the Boundaries. What are you going to do? You will simply have to compare 2 maps. The first map is a map of an earthquake distribution, where earthquakes are usually happening around the world. And the second map is a map showing the most active volcanoes around the world. So you simply have to look at the 2 maps and observe the colored areas, the ones with the dots. And then you answer 4 questions. What similarities have you noticed between the maps? How are volcanoes distributed on the map? Where are volcanoes specifically located? And how will you compare the location of the majority of earthquake epicenters with the location of volcanoes around the world? Then there is a discussion after that. So the discussion states, volcanoes are everywhere, but majority of these are formed along the boundaries of the Earth's tectonic plates. 75% of the world's active volcanoes are positioned around the Ring of Fire. A lot of geologic activities happen here every day. Some are noticeable, others are not. Volcanoes are not randomly distributed. Wala ako noon na nagkatag-katagra by random, patakaan lang naglibutho ang volcano. No, volcanoes do not appear randomly. Majority of them are found along the edges of some continents. Many are located around the edges or nas mga kilid-kilid sa mga continents, particularly in the west coast of North and South America, the East and Southeast Asia. Earthquake epicenters and volcanoes can be situated at the same location. So yung bot ipaisabot kung asa kasagaran mahitabo ang mga earthquakes na adito na ay makitaan ng mga volcanoes. Asa man sa ni sila kasagaran makitaan? Around the edges of continents. Nga naman di ay around the edges of continents kasagaran mausad na boundary sa kada tectonic plate. Next, activity number 3 entitled Top of the World. So here you are given a map of the mountain ranges around the world. Kanang naay red nga color dira. So asa kasagaran sad makitaan ang mga mountain ranges around the world? Kasagaran sad according to this picture atong map nga nakita sa atong module, nasa siya kasagaran sa mga edges or boundaries of tectonic plates. And then you are going to answer 4 questions. How will you relate the distribution of mountain ranges with the distribution of earthquake epicenters and volcanoes? Diba na-establish na nato in the previous activity here na kung asa makitaan ang mga volcanoes, nasa dito makita ang mga earthquake epicenters. How is this related to the distribution of mountain ranges? Adto sad bakaha makita ang mga mountain ranges kung asa sad makita ang mga volcanoes ug asa sad mahitabo ang kasagaran nga linog based on the map. So you answer these 4 questions. Then, discussion. Mountain ranges are found in places where volcanoes and earthquake epicenters are also located. So, dara. The first sentence in the discussion answers the question number 1 in the guide question of activity 3. They are not randomly distributed. So, wala sad ni sila pisag asa ra ni butho. Naragi specific areas kung asa sad sila makita, just like volcanoes and just like earthquake epicenters. Majority of mountain ranges are found in narrow zones and along the edges of some continents. The presence of volcanoes, earthquake epicenters, and mountain ranges mark the boundaries of tectonic plates. Unsay buot pasabot ani? Kung asa naa ang mga boundaries sa kada tectonic plates, naasa dito ng butho ang mga mountain ranges. Nasa dito makita kasagarang volcano ug nasa dito mahitabo kasagarang earthquakes. Geologic features are brought by the theory of plate tectonics. So what theory describes where, how mountain ranges, volcanoes, earthquake activities happen? It is called the plate tectonics theory. According to this theory, the Earth's lithosphere is separated into plates that move over the asthenosphere, the uppermost part of the mantle. It is the molten upper part of the mantle. The theory serves as a foundation upon which we understand the geologic processes that shape the Earth. So again, the name of the theory that explains all of these geologic formations and happenings is called the plate tectonics theory. Then there is the generalization part. What is the generalization? Plates are the large pieces of the upper few hundred kilometers of the Earth that move as a single unit as it floats above the mantle. The process or the plates are in constant motion. Walay higayon nga nag-urong ang plates. The plates are in constant motion. However, the motion is very, very slow. A few centimeters only per year. As these plates interact along their margins or boundaries, important geologic processes take place, such as the formation of mountain belts, the happening of earthquakes, and the formation of volcanoes. So, after answering module 1, 2, 3, we can finally answer these questions. What is the relationship among the location of earthquake epicenter, volcanoes, mountain ranges to the location of plate boundary? Unsa kunoy relasyon sa mga lokasyon asa makita ng earthquake epicenter, asa makita ng mga volcanoes, asa makita ng mga mountain ranges to the location of where plate boundaries are. What is the answer? Kung asa makitaan ang mga pinakadagko nga mountain and majority of the mountain ranges around the world, ang asa sad ang lugar sa where most volcanoes are located, and the areas where most earthquake epicenters are found, they are all found along plate boundaries. Again, kung naay plate boundary, dito po nimo makitaan kasagaran nga mga mountain ranges. Na po dito nagkumpol kasagarang volcanoes o dito po mahitabo ang kasagaran nga mga linog. After this, you are going to answer the post-test application additional activity. So here in this picture, so this shows the plate boundaries around the world that is in brown line. Kung kasagaran ang plate boundaries, diha pod kasagaran makita ang mga volcanoes in the triangle, yellow triangles. Also, where most volcanoes are found, na po di kasagaran nga mga mountain ranges. And where most plate boundaries and volcanoes are found, diha pod mahitabo ang kasagaran nga earthquakes. Again, I will reiterate, the highest mountains and majority of mountain ranges around the world, the places where most volcanoes are located, and the areas where most earthquake epicenters are found, they are all found along plate boundaries. In your module for week number 3, naadihay gipa-appeal nga summative test in science. This is SCIENCE10 summative test 1.1 entitled Plate Tectonics Test. It has 4 parts. Part 1 is the multiple choice part, 1 to 20. You simply have to encircle the letter of your chosen answer. Ang kani mao'y suwatan sa inyong answer. The bond paper that you receive For the summative mo, yun yung ansiran, dili sa yellow pad. I-pass karong October 23, 2020. Part 2 of the test, sequencing. Write the correct order or sequence of events from 1 to 5 in locating the epicenter of an earthquake. Part 3, true or false. Write true if the statement is correct and false if the statement is not correct. And finally, I'm sorry, this is part 4. Plate boundaries map. There is just part 3 here. Part 4. You will look at the plate boundaries map and then you will name the plate where these countries are located. For example, number 1, Philippines. Asa man nga plate, tectonic plate makita sa Philippines. Number 2, Africa. What is the tectonic plate where the country or the continent of Africa is located? Until 10. And that ends quarter 1, week 3 in Science 10. Thank you.